Babar Azam and Mohammad Rizwan, a batting pair whose heroics helped Pakistan pull off so many memorable victories. A string of quiet performances by their own lofty standards in recent times meant both the openers were under a bit of pressure.
Cleaned them up, picks up the prize scalp of the opposition skipper. Babar goes for 9.
And the two chose the second T20 international before a full house at the Gaddafi Stadium to turn things around. Rizwan went on to score a sparkling half-century to add to the joyous mood of the festive season.
Wow, he's cracked that. This has gone a long way. Brings up his 50. Lovely, lovely knock by Rizwan.
Babar Azam took on the critics who questioned his position as an opener, hitting them for a 6.
He's got enough. Yes, he has.
The Pakistan captain was simply unstoppable on his home ground. Murmurs about his strike rate were silenced by a truly majestic innings, 100 of only 58 balls.
Oh, that sounded amazing. The king stands tall once again tonight, and he lights up Gaddafi Stadium. Third T20I century for Babar Azam.
Set to score 193, New Zealand were pegged back by a clinical bowling display by Pakistan.
And there you go, the mixed medal stuff.
Haris Rauf was the star with the ball yet again with a 4-wicket haul as the hosts went on to complete a comprehensive win. Can Pakistan continue the demolition act to clinch the series tonight? Tom Latham and his men have a tough job at hand to turn the tide.
Hello and welcome to the beautiful city of Lahore, Gaddafi Stadium with all the floodlights on as we head into the third T20 International. And it is between both these sides, Pakistan versus New Zealand. Pakistan winning the first two T20 Internationals. And this one is going to be the third and final one, at least in Lahore. Hello and welcome to the Inverex Solar Energy Pitside Show. Great to be here. As always, the heroics of Babar Azam lingering on in the minds of all the Pakistani fans, whereas New Zealand will be looking to redeem themselves. They've got, obviously, Ish Sodhi is back in their side, which is the good news for them. There's also one good news for Pakistan coming from the cap, that Rizwan is fit to play. So all the Rizwan fans, he's back and he'll be seen in action once again. Should be an interesting one, and New Zealand has to win this one. I'm sure they're going to be coming all guns blazing. I've now been joined by Arooj Mumtaz and Grant Elliott. Arooj, great moment the other day, Babar Azam 100 for all the fans. They, really enjoyed themselves. This is a new day altogether for the Pakistan side. Should they make a few changes? Should they tinker things along? I know I asked this question in the second T20, but what about this one?
See, honestly, I think that if you're selected in the 15, you should be good enough to play in the 11. It's as simple as that. So even if they do tinker with the side, that should not become an excuse of if they go on to lose. That's my firm belief, that anybody in the 15 is or should be good enough to play in the 11. Given the conditions, given the fact that, yes, we had to recognize this is not a full-strength New Zealand side by a long mile, Pakistan can still take the liberty of even making changes in this game and still end up on the winning side. There's a lot of talk around Mohammad Haris, and we explained this day in and day out that he did have the best strike rate in the PSL from the 15 in the current Pakistan side. The only confusion is that he will obviously only replace Rizwan because if he takes the gloves behind. Rizwan is fit and playing, but I think they will probably, knowing Pakistan at the moment, I think they'll try and go for a 3-0 first before making any changes.
All right, Mohammad Rizwan is fit to play. There was a bit of a concern in that previous game whether he is going to be playing today or not, considering Mohammad Haris was keeping behind the stumps. But he is playing today, which is great news for the Pakistan fans. But from a New Zealand perspective, Grant, I mean, Ish Sodhi comes back. Again, he was sort of rested because he had a niggle. But then for them, this is a situation where they have to win in order to stay in the series.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't just Ish Sodhi. I think it was Adam Milne as well. So Adam Milne you'd almost look at those two players along with Matt Henry that would be the most experienced bowlers. So that provides a little bit of firepower within the bowling. Ish Sodhi's obviously a wicket taker through the middle. Adam Milne is a wicket taker at the top and bowls some really good death overs. So very important, but I think it's more from the batting perspective. New Zealand haven't really fired with the bat. Are we going to see a change in the batting order? I think there's an opportunity to maybe do that, send Daryl Mitchell up front, but yeah, it'll be fascinating to see what New Zealand do with the bat. But T20 cricket is about aggression, and it's about going out there and backing yourself, and it's very difficult to back yourself when you've lost 2 games in a row. So for New Zealand, it's about, forget about the last 2 games. Let's start afresh, be aggressive, take the game on. You have to be aggressive against this Pakistan team.
I'll tell you who took the game on really well in the previous game. We're talking about none other than Babar Azam. A lot of talk around his batting. He's always been a star for Pakistan cricket. But for him to sort of elevate his game the way he did, Arooj, you were there calling that moment. How special was it?
I think it's a very special one, and which showed in his emotion later on. And we spoke to him after the post-show. It meant really so much to him because of the situation building up prior to this. I think it's always nice, and he's the sort of player who always responds with the bat. There's a huge strike rate debate. As you said, the strike rate brigade, at least on the day, would have been asked or told to shut up, if I can say that. But again, relevant answers in his game is that he's been improving. 2023 by far the best strike rate he's had in a calendar year, and that's what is important. And that's what I alluded to yesterday as well, that the range of short selections in terms of his boundary options, that's where his game is flourished, hence why his strike rate has jumped to 145.
I mean, that was perhaps the only perspective that was discussed about his game in this particular format. It's just that strike rate element that he needs to score perhaps more quickly. And that too was a view which was rather polarized amongst the fans. But what's your take on this?
Oh, I watched Babar Azam during the PSL, and there was that debate was happening then, he bats too slow and his strike rate needs to come up. The thing is with a player like Babar Azam, is that when he gets going, he plays proper cricket shots. So he can up that strike rate. If you get slightly wide to him, he either pushes you through third man or backward point, or even extra cover. He can give himself room, and then when you get close as a bowler and you bowl wicket to wicket, he can hit you through mid-wicket. So the ability to manipulate the bowling, and cricket is about partnerships. So don't just look at Babar. Look at Rizwan as well. So the opening partnership has been successful, and I know they've been struggling for runs, but they're both back in form. And you give a partnership like that, you give it time to flourish, and you give them more opportunity than most will get. And I think Pakistan have done that here, and they've reaped the rewards for it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's worked wonders for them. Any areas that you feel, Roos, that they need to be looking at? There's always a sort of a longer-term plan in terms of the World Cup, which will be played in the West Indies in the T20 side. Anything that you kind of point at and think that this is something that Pakistan need to work on?
I think, again, this is an opportunity where they need to probably try out and see what's on the bench in terms of giving them an international opportunity just to see what they're made of. Once again, I think the home provides the best opportunity to do that. I think if there's one thing that Pakistan does not do really well is test that bench strength. Now, there's a two-way debate to that as well, because why change something that's not broken? But that's not the point here. The point is to test that bench strength and see what they're made of under pressure in different situations. So when you do need to make that change, they are ready. So I think just those things in terms of, again, not now, not today, but that's something that they can probably look at, so that for every person in the 11, they've got, if not at least one replacement ready and set to go.
Well, we're talking about Babar Azam. He just needs that an iconic celebration. We're talking about iconic celebrations. There was one that happened a couple of years ago in Sharjah during the HBL PSL, and it was quite a moment. I think a certain someone would be rather proud, embarrassed. I'm not sure how to describe what kind of emotions that there will be. But this is pretty much making a statement that, here you go, all of you, this is what I'm all about, and you can say whatever you like, but it was my moment. It was certainly your moment, wasn't it, in Sharjah against Islamabad United, Grant?
All I can say is...
Mic drop.
roll back the years, yeah. I don't know, iconic celebrations. I think what made that good was the lighting behind it. As soon as I dropped the bat, then suddenly the lights just shot up. So I've got to thank the lights. But that was the Lahore Qalandars. You know, when the Lahore Qalandars managed to clutch defeat from the jaws of victory in every game, and suddenly we managed to get over the line, and we were hoping that that was the game that actually got us through to the finals, but we ended up losing it in a game later on in the series. But it was a close team. It was a lot of fun. I think T20 cricket has to be entertaining. You know, I spoke about it being aggressive. You know, New Zealand team have to go and be aggressive, but they need to enjoy it as well. Go and enjoy your cricket, and you have a great moment. Show the crowd that you enjoy it as well.
Well, Grant just gone on, given us 2 minutes of why that shot looked nice and all that. I was just going to say, you still look good, but okay, if it was the lighting, then be it.
I think he's slightly embarrassed, considering, you know, we all look into our past, and there's always something that we'd want to change or at least not look back at. But anyway, for us, it was a special moment because Lahore Qalandars was doing well. From a New Zealand perspective, because I asked Arooj the same question, it's not been going their way. Anything's not been going their way so far. So is there anything that you'd like them to change? Is it a case of changing that batting order? Is it a change of selection, getting someone else in? What are your thoughts?
If I'm honest, and I'm probably going to be quite controversial here, I'd say I'd quite like to see Rachin Ravindra up the order. I'd like to see him maybe at 3, and maybe Daryl Mitchell open. And then you can still shuffle those players in and around. But I think Rachin Ravindra, fantastic young player, he's aggressive, that's where he plays. He plays in the top 3. But I think that New Zealand are stuck in their ways of looking towards the World Cup, and players are still playing in their roles. We're missing players. We just haven't found the right combinations, and it's very difficult to chase your tail when you're looking to find the right combinations in a series where you're 2-0 down. So whether they change it, the nature of New Zealand is that we'll keep it the same. I think they always stick with, you know, the preparation that was done before the series. So I don't think that they'll change it, but Daryl Mitchell is the key player in that lineup. And he did well in the T20 World Cup where he opened the batting. Why not open with him now?
I think it's an interesting topic in that sense, Arooj, that a lot of times teams are just inflexible in terms of rotating that batting order or having floaters around, as we call it. We've seen that around the world. People opt to be rather safe, but it's just nice to change things up a little bit, especially like you said, if Daryl Mitchell has opened in the past.
I think the key to that is obviously preparation, and you prepare for a plan A and a plan B, and you prepare for those because you want to play that nature of game or that brand of cricket or whatever your combinations are. But sometimes a change which makes sense. I mean, it's not just like pull something out of the hat today and be like, we're going to do this. But there's some sort of backing, some sort of instinct to it. And sometimes that change just sparks something and ignites something different. And you should be open and flexible to making that change as and when required, rather than being so stuck in your ways that when the world can see there's an obvious problem and you keep spiraling down. I think as long as you're open to that option, most often than not that you'll put it in play. Whether it works or not, that's fine. But being flexible, I guess, is very important.
Different conditions to New Zealand at Gaddafi Stadium, Lahore completely. Does that have any role to play, or is that something that we can look past?
No. I think that's a good question. I think, you know, the New Zealand players, they arrived, they had one-day training, then they have to adapt to surface. But I think the most significant thing about adapting is I asked the analysts and I said to them, what length do you have to bowl in New Zealand? And they said 5.4 meters. I think it was 5.43. Whereas here in Gaddafi Stadium, it's almost 7 meters. So we saw in the first game, New Zealand players were trying to pull balls and they were still skidding. So that's a delivery that has to hit the top of the stumps. So New Zealand, it's a lot fuller. So when the ball is short, they're able to hit it. They were playing horizontal bat shots early on in this tour, and it was going underneath the bat. We saw Tom Latham get out like that. And as a bowler, you also have to bring your length back. So hopefully, everyone says, oh, New Zealand will be better for the run. Hopefully they are better for the run, but you do have to adapt.
And what they will be hoping for is that they do end up winning the toss as well. It is the Bank Alfallah presents Dafa News series. The third T20 has started and we are ready with the toss. Let's head out, and with the captains, we've got Sikandar Bakht.
Toss and pitch report brought to you by Inverex Solar Energy.
Hello and welcome to the third T20 International and the final one here at the Gaddafi Stadium, Lahore. I've got our match referee here, Mr. Ali Naqvi, and the two captains, Babar Azam, Tom Latham. Babar has the coin and he will spin it. Tom will call.
Heads.
Heads is the call. And it is heads. First box is ticked now, so what are you going to do?
We're going to have a bet. Obviously, traditions the last couple of games we've seen runs all on board, can be a good thing, so hopefully we can do that well first innings.
When you look at this pitch, it's the same pitch that was used for the first game. What do you make of it, and what are the changes that you think have to be brought in terms of batting?
Look, the second wicket was probably a better one, but we know we've got to make those adjustments early on, and again for us it's about trying to make those small improvements from each game to game, and I think we did that from the first one to the second one, and I think it's important for us to, I guess, go up another gear, and we've got a great opportunity to do that first up with the bat.
Bowling has been well, and especially with Matt Henry getting those breakthroughs in the middle. What do you make of batting first? What is the score that you feel is defended?
Yeah, it's sort of hard to know, I think. Obviously you want to start well, and you want to, I guess, stick to your blueprint as best as possible, but as we've talked about, it's about trying to adapt as best as we can, and when we get our foot in front, it's about trying to put the foot on the throat and I guess take the attack to them. So again, we're going to be under pressure at times, I'm sure, but it's about how we overcome that.
How about the changes, if any?
So we've got two changes. We go back to the first team, so Adam Milne and Ish Sodhi come back into the side.
Well, good luck, Tom.
Cheers, thank you. Good luck, Babar.
That's how about with Babar. Babar, not batting first. What do you make of this? Not really bothered about it if not getting the bat?
To be honest, yes. Pitch look like same for the first match. No, I think less grass, but we will try to first 6 hours utilize and bowl well and make good bowling.
You think conditions are really changing from batting first to second, or they're always the same?
I don't think so. Conditions are same. I think not any difference.
Now you've got 2-0 already. If you win this, you win the series. Looking to make any changes in the 11?
Yes, we have one change. Zaman is resting and Sim Shah is in.
Okay, great. And yourself, you got 100 on the other pitch. Now this one, a little bit of a challenge to yourself?
Yeah, I have always challenged when I'm batting, and especially when I'm batting inside, and always enjoy my batting, and always special play here in Lahore, and special front of the crowd, and they always supporting me and on team, and looking forward to the match.
Okay, good luck bowling first.
Cheers.
Okay, so New Zealand have won the toss, and no surprises, they want to bat first. So that is first box that has been ticked. Now, in terms of this pitch, which is pitch number 6 and how it played in the first T20, we'll talk to Bazid, who's right here alongside me. Bazid, a good toss to win.
Yeah, absolutely. The first game, remember, New Zealand got bowled out for 94 when they batted second. And this is a pitch which has a little bit of grass, tufts of grass, really. And you look at it closely, these cracks have grass covering on it. So once the ball hits that, especially on the grass, then you may just get extra bounce, or it sometimes skids low. So that's a little bit of an issue.
When you speak of bounce, and that seems to be the issue with the New Zealand batters, not really coming up. What is the ideal length you feel on this pitch that will work for the bowlers?
This particular pitch, I think you have to be into the pitch, short of a length. If you get it short of a length, you get extra bounce. Against, if you hit the tufts, you get extra bounce, or they skid low. So if you're lining up for that back foot shot, it sort of exaggerates the up and down bounce, or sort of indifferent bounce in the surface. So if you're consistently back of a length, I think that's the way to go. Don't want to go up to the bat because the ball comes on. I don't think there's a lot for the spinners to work with. It's the short of a length from the fast bowler. Pakistan, though, have such a good attack. They can bowl on any surface.
Yeah, exactly. Such a good attack. So it seems like 160 is enough. But quick one, what is the good score for New Zealand batting first?
I think they'll definitely need 160 or more. I think they'll aim at 180, start off there, and then work there. I think you need to get minimum 170.
All right, there you go. Minimum 170.
Toss and pitch report brought to you by Inverex Solar Energy.
All right, New Zealand has won the toss. This is what we were talking about, that they would be hoping that their fortunes can change as well. Thank you so much, Arooj and Grant, for joining us. We'll be taking a short break, and when we do come back, we'll be having a closer look at the teams. Back on the Inverex Solar Energy Pitch Side Show, and in case you've just tuned in, New Zealand has won the toss and they have decided to bat first. I've now been joined by Kyle Mills and Bazid Khan. Mills, Mr. Mills, we've got two changes for New Zealand, and some good changes because Ish Sodhi comes back in the side. He was struggling with a bit of a niggle, and then Adam Milne comes back as well.
Yeah, back to the same lineup as the first game. irrespective of the lineup, they need to get runs at the top of the order to combat this really impressive Pakistan bowling lineup, which has been Harris Ralph. He's been amazing for two games, but they need runs at the top. They need to play with great intent. Really impressive Mark Chapman last game. As soon as he came up from ball one, he had intent. It was a great attitude. So since the other guys in the top order are sort of just giving themselves 3 or 4 balls, but Pakistan are just so effective when the new batter comes to the crease. So runs at the top of the order is crucial for New Zealand.
Pakistan also changing things a little bit. We were talking about if there will be changes. Naseem Shah comes instead of Zaman Khan.
Well, the great thing is that once Zaman Khan goes out, Naseem Shah has been in superb form. He's had a brilliant year or so with the ball in T20 cricket. So it's not an issue, not a problem. You still have Ihsanullah, who's sort of waiting in the wing. So with the faster men, especially, Pakistan have so much depth right now in T20 cricket that they can afford chopping and changing quite a few times. But it's been so far Pakistan overpowering New Zealand and brushing them aside pretty easily. So they'll want more of the same. The good thing for New Zealand today is that they're batting first. It's something different for them. But again, they'll have to raise their level of the game because at the moment it's Pakistan with a much higher level.
Yeah, and you mentioned just at the pitch report that Pakistan, the kind of attack they have, it works in all kinds of conditions, and that's been the highlight for them over the years. Their bowling has led the way, and one man who has really led that bowling attack over the last few years and has got a wicket in perhaps his first over pretty much every time. We're talking about none other than Shaheen Shah Afridi. Time to hear his thoughts now.
Star Talk, brought to you by Inverex Solar Energy.
मेरे ख्याल से इसकी स्टोरी तो ऐसे कुछ नहीं है, बट क्रेडिट जो पूरा है वो ज़ाहिर सी बात है लाहौर कलंदर को इसलिए जाता है जो उनका PTB का प्रोग्राम है। जो लोकल प्लेयर जब भी किसी टूर्नामेंट में परफॉर्म करते हैं वो टीम ज़ाहिर सी बात है अच्छी साबित होती है। हमारी टीम थी ना, उसमें जो 4-5 के बाद है वो हिटर थे कि वो गेम को उनको 5-6 ओवर मिलते थे। सिकंदर ने काफ़ी अच्छे खेला, विजय था, राशिद था। वो हमारी वो प्लेयर है कि वो किसी टाइम भी आके आखिरी 5 ओवर में 60 से 50 तक रन्स कर सकते थे। तो कभी कभी ऐसा करना पड़ता था कि एक को जल्दी बेच देते फिर आराम से दूसरे को। तो गेम को चेंज इसलिए करते थे कि दूसरी टीम को भी एक ही चीज़ पे ना रखे कि हाँ उसके बाद ये आएगा फिर ये आएगा। तो ये चेंज करने का तरीका भी यही था कि हम दूसरी टीम के माइंड्स के साथ भी खेलें और उसमें रिज़ल्ट अच्छे मिले हमें। देखिए एज अ प्लेयर आपकी कोशिश होती है कि आप अपने चीज़ों को ही करते हैं। जैसे सिर्फ बॉलिंग है तो बॉलिंग को इम्प्रूव करूँ। एज अ कैप्टन आपने पूरी टीम को लीड करना पड़ता है और सिर्फ 11 प्लेयर नहीं जो बाहर बैठे हैं उनको भी सेम लेके जाना पड़ता है जो खेल रहे हैं। एज अ टीम सबको लेके जाना पड़ता है और प्यार मोहब्बत से रहना पड़ता है। सबको यही था कि जो उनका गेम है वही खेले और उसमें दोनों टूर्नामेंट जीते। मैंने पूरी दुनिया उसको रेट करती है, टॉप प्लेयर है और सिर्फ पाकिस्तान का तो नहीं वर्ल्ड का बेस्ट प्लेयर है। और वो जब भी खेलता है अपने बेस्ट क्रिकेट खेलता है। जहाँ पे भी मैंने उनको देखा है वो टीम प्लेयर है और परफॉर्मेंस करते हैं। सो ये एक बैट्समैन की निशानी होती है कि वो पूरी टीम को लेके जाता है। और जाहिर सी बात है मुश्किल बैट्समैन है और उसके सामने बॉलिंग करते हुए मज़ा आता है। देखिए आपको लाइफ में एक अच्छा पार्टनर चाहिए होता है। तो मैं लकी हूँ कि अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह अल्लाह पाक ने मुझे काफ़ी अच्छा पार्टनर दिया है जो हर टाइम अगर कोई क्रिकेट में भी कोई मुश्किल होती है तो अप्रिशिएट होता है, बैक करते हैं। तो अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह लाइफ अच्छी जा रही है और उम्मीद है और भी अच्छी जाएगी इंशाल्लाह। देखिए टाइम के साथ चीज़ें सीखने को मिलती हैं। एकदम आप टॉप के बॉलर्स को नहीं बीट सकते। हर चीज़ में टाइम लगता है और सीखने का प्रोसेस तो ख़त्म नहीं होता। तो मेरी भी ये कोशिश है कि टाइम के साथ चीज़ें सीखूँ, जो करता हुआ आ रहा हूँ वो करूँ और उसको ही अच्छा करूँ कि वो पाकिस्तान क्रिकेट के लिए बेस्ट हो।
Star Talk, brought to you by Inverex Solar Energy.
Well, it is a special game for Shaheen Shah Afridi. He's an absolute champion. He's single-handedly won so many games for Pakistan, and this is his 50th T20 international. And just look at that record. I mean, it speaks for itself. The kind of average he's got, 59 wickets in his 50 games. He's also got a 4-wicket haul. He's also got amazing figures. I mean, he is really the complete package. When you look at a fast bowler, an opening fast bowler, who better to have Shaheen Shah Afridi than, you know, in your side? Just in terms of the kind of performance that you've seen from him, Kyle, and observed over the years, what's the one thing that has stood out for you about Shaheen Shah Afridi?
Well, I think the stats speak for themselves quite clearly, but the one thing that I've really noticed over the last 18 months is his leadership qualities. You can tell he's a leader now. You can tell he feels comfortable playing international cricket. You can tell it's almost he treats it like his home. Whereas those first few years, like any young player, they're just trying to impress, they're trying to make the team. Whereas now I sense every other person wearing that Pakistan shirt out on the field with him these days looks up to him.
Baz, let's not forget that he also came back from an injury that was potentially career-threatening at one point. For him to come back the way he has, what do you make of his career, and do you think that he is the best left-arm bowler in the world, or just pace bowler in the world, opening the attack?
Yeah, right now, at the first over, if you asked anybody who do you want not to face, that'll be Shaheen Shah Afridi, no doubt about it. Whatever format there is. Yes, he's been exceptional in the way that he's developed. He's got this knack of getting people out, and he trusts his ability to do that. And I think he's progressed. Once he's been given the captaincy of Lahore Qalandars, he's matured even further. And I still think there is the best to come. I still think he's going to develop even further. Right now, yes, he has pace and swing, but I think, say, Jimmy Anderson, who kept on developing, I think Shaheen Shah Afridi does have that same sort of thing where he keeps on developing and sort of one step ahead of the others.
All right, what's a good target then, Kyle, for New Zealand?
Well,
quick thoughts.
One of these top four need to get a big score of 70 plus, without question. They need to be, this is a used wicket. It's the same pitch that was played on in the first game. So I think a score up around 175 to 185 will be really competitive.
185 is what Kyle Mills has to say. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your thoughts. It's a pleasure to have you here. New Zealand has won the toss and they have decided to bat first. We'll be taking a short break. And when we do come back, we'll have all the live pictures for you.